So do I think Bronny belong in the league? Hell no. He ain't that good. He ain't even that good to be playing overseas against them overseas players.
J.J. Reed went off on him from the sidelines, shouting wild expletives for everyone to hear. A G League coach didn't hold back either, pushing him so hard that he literally stormed off the court mid-game. Then Stephen A. Smith blasted him on air, calling him unready. And right after that, LeBron himself stepped up, face-to-face, courtside, confronting the whole situation.
To the sideline with his injury. Luka's in pretty deep, kicks it into the corner. Bronny getting the start tonight. Has seen plenty of action.
That's right, we're talking about Bronny James, and the footage just blew up online. This clip isn't just another sports moment. It's chaos, pressure, and pure emotion all colliding in real time. People can't stop watching it because it's not just about basketball anymore. It's about legacy, family, and the crushing weight of living up to a name that carries the entire NBA spotlight. Now, let's really talk about what went down, because this isn't your average rookie learning moment. Bronny James was picked by the Los Angeles Lakers as the 55th overall in the 2024 NBA Draft, a move that instantly split the sports world in half. Fans called it a dream come true, while critics shouted that it was pure favoritism. And ever since that night, the drama hasn't cooled down for a single second. Everyone's asking the same question: is Bronny truly ready for this? Because what just happened might have changed everything.
He wouldn't do that with nobody else.
I feel you.
If this was not LeBron James' son, the Lakers would not take the time to build with him and invest the time and the resources that they're doing if this wasn't LeBron James' son. Yeah. They're only doing this out of nepotism.
By the time 2025 rolled around, Bronny James, the son of one of the greatest to ever touch a basketball, was stepping onto the court with pressure no rookie has ever faced before. He wasn't just another player, he was the symbol of everything people argue about in modern basketball: talent, legacy, and the whispers of privilege that follow him everywhere he goes. And let's be real, the numbers haven't been friendly to him at all. By the end of 2025, Bronny had only played in 10 NBA games, putting up 2.1 points and 1.8 assists per game. His shooting? Rough. Just 29.6% from the field and 27.3% from deep. Those aren't stats that scream NBA ready. They're the kind that make fans wonder if he was tossed into the fire too soon.
Bronny James going to the NBA. He only averaged 4 points a game in college. He got a guaranteed contract for $7 million as a rookie, which is not heard of. You don't think that's taking food out of somebody else's plate? He didn't earn it.
The truth is, Bronny's been battling hard to find his rhythm in a league that doesn't forgive mistakes or give out sympathy minutes. Every time he steps on the floor, the spotlight burns hotter, and critics are circling, waiting for him to slip. But what really set social media on fire is what came next: his contract. Bronny locked in a 4-year, $7.9 million fully guaranteed deal. For a 55th overall pick, that's unheard of. Most players that late barely secure two-way contracts, and here's Bronny locked in with full NBA money and long-term protection. That doesn't just raise eyebrows, it sparks a storm. And the whispers behind the scenes, they're wild. Reports claim that Rich Paul, LeBron's powerful agent and head of Clutch Sports, allegedly warned teams not to draft Bronny unless it was the Lakers. Rumor has it the message was clear: if another team picked him, Bronny would play in Australia instead. That kind of power move had the entire league buzzing. That's exactly how LeBron wanted it. Bronny ending up with the Lakers, giving him the chance to finally live out his dream of sharing the court with his own son. And from there, things took a wild turn, because what happened next didn't just make headlines, it broke the entire internet. The first viral clip came straight from an NBA game, and it spread across social media like lightning. In the footage, Lakers head coach J.J. Redick can be seen on the sidelines, furious, his face red, veins popping, completely losing it on Bronny. Witnesses said it all went down right after Bronny hesitated on an open jumper, something totally against Redick's 0.5 mentality system, where players are expected to make a decision in just half a second. According to reports, Redick was caught on camera yelling, "Bronny, you gotta shoot the expletive ball." The frustration in his voice was explosive, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Bronny only played 10 minutes that night and took just 2 shots, 2 shots in 10 minutes. For a player trying to prove he belongs in the NBA, that kind of hesitation doesn't go unnoticed.
So do I think Bronny belong in the league? Hell no. He ain't that good. He ain't even that good to be playing overseas against them overseas players. Bronny need to be a high school assistant basketball coach or a PE teacher somewhere. But he ain't good enough to play in no more league.
That clip didn't just trend, it erupted. Within hours, it racked up millions of views, fueled endless debates, and spawned a storm of memes, reactions, and hot takes across every corner of sports media. Everyone had an opinion, from die-hard Lakers fans to NBA analysts, all dissecting what that moment said about Bronny's confidence, pressure, and his future in the league. Some fans backed JJ Redick, saying he was just doing what great coaches do, holding Bronny accountable like any other player that wants to reach greatness. But not everyone saw it that way. Others said the outburst went too far, calling it harsh and unnecessary, arguing that publicly snapping on a 21-year-old still trying to find his rhythm could crush his confidence instead of building it. Then came Charleston White, the ever-controversial commentator who never filters his opinions. He came in swinging, putting the nepotism debate on full blast, saying what many people were already whispering but didn't dare to say out loud. Because let's be real, Bronny's freshman year at USC wasn't exactly jaw-dropping. Across 25 games, he averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists, shooting just 36.6% from the field. Those aren't stats that scream NBA ready. They're the kind that make fans wonder if he was tossed into the fire too soon. But that's not what happened, and everyone knows why. That last name carries weight, massive weight. Still, after all the drama with Redick, Bronny didn't hide. He faced the media head-on and surprised a lot of people with how calm and mature he sounded. He said he's focusing more on off-ball play now, and even gave Redick credit for the tough love, saying, "We're talking about the ball handlers on the parent team. I've got to learn how to be effective off the ball, shoot when open, and better myself there."
But we think we do.
You just hit it on the head. Bronny James, it was a big debate about that, nepotism and getting it out the mud. A lot of people, majority of black people, we value getting it out of the mud instead of somebody in our family helping us, which happens all over, you know, corporate America, everywhere, sports, everywhere that we could think of, acting gigs. We see it everywhere.
And to his credit, Bronny backed it up on the court. Just days after the Redick blow-up, he went back down to the G League on November 22nd, 2025, and dropped 15 points on 5 of 10 shooting with 8 assists. It was his best game of the season and a glimpse of what he could be if he keeps pushing. He also added 4 rebounds and 3 steals in a 115-95 win over the Santa Cruz Warriors. It looked like Bronny was finally starting to silence the doubters, but that peace didn't last long. Just weeks later, another clip hit the internet, and this one made the Redick moment look like nothing. In December 2025, during a G League matchup with the South Bay Lakers, things got heated, and I mean heated. Bronny ended up in what sources called a fiery back and forth with one of his coaches, believed to be either interim head coach Perry Huang or an assistant. You could literally see the tension on camera, arguing, the frustration. It was intense.
Hell with them other niggas who daddy ain't up at GameStop and can't get them no job, nigga. Shout out to Philly dog. Yeah.
That's a great analogy. My dad, when I graduated high school, he got me and all my homies jobs at the GameStop warehouse.
Yeah. So homie,
and we didn't earn it. We didn't earn it.
But did y'all appreciate it?
Oh, of course.
Did it enhance some of y'all life?
Definitely.
And then came the shocker that had everyone's jaw on the floor. Mid-argument, right there during the game, Bronny walked off the court. Let me repeat that. He walked off the court. The moment was caught in full detail in the video titled "Bronny James Walks Off Court." Heated clash with G League coach caught on camera, dropped on YouTube on December 5th, 2025, instantly going viral. His performance that night didn't help his case either. 10 points on 4 of 12 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3, plus 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 4 turnovers. Not exactly the kind of numbers that give you the upper hand when you're arguing with your coach. But let's clear something up before the rumors get wild. There was no physical fight here, no shoving, no punches, nothing like that. It was pure emotion, frustration boiling over in real time, and it left everyone wondering just how much pressure Bronny's been carrying behind the scenes.
Is it fair? No. But life ain't fair, young people. Homie, sometimes you can work hard and not go nowhere in life. Sometimes you can do everything right, work hard, follow all the rules, do everything, and still not get picked. Life ain't fair.
No punches were thrown, no shoving, no physical contact at all. It was strictly verbal. But wow, the intensity of what went down, all caught on camera for the world to see, completely shifted the way people talk about Bronny James. On social media, especially over on X, formerly Twitter, the debates went non-stop. Some users said Redick's tough love style was exactly what a young player like Bronny needed, claiming it's part of paying your dues in the league. But others fired back, saying it was way too harsh, especially for a 21-year-old trying to handle all the pressure of being LeBron's son while still finding his footing in the NBA.
I think one of the important things to bring up is what, what you brought up in regards to the nepotism, because I don't want to hear it either, and I really appreciate and applaud you for bringing it up, because you hear people mumbling about that in the weeks and the days leading up to the draft. It is something that has permeated throughout the NBA for quite some time, okay, and on all levels, and no one has said anything. It's never been an issue that I can remember.
That clip didn't just spark arguments about coaching. It reignited the nepotism debate like never before. People started asking whether Bronny's opportunities were truly earned through his skill or simply handed to him because of his father's legendary status. Even former NBA players jumped into the mix. Kwame Brown didn't hold back, claiming Bronny's entire NBA spot exists only because of LeBron's influence. And Chandler Parsons took it a step further, calling the Lakers' decision to draft him straight-up embarrassing nepotism. Those comments added fuel to an already raging fire.
And I talked about Bronny James early in the season, and I highlighted the fact that at that particular moment in time, he simply was not ready. I was calling out LeBron James. LeBron James never addresses that with anybody, and for some reason, no one ever asked him about that. Wasn't it you who said that Bronny James was better than some players in the NBA right now before he was even drafted? Wasn't it you who said, if you want me, draft my son? Because you wanted to play with your son for 1 year? Wasn't it you who literally circumvented meritocracy within the National Basketball Association?
And this, right here, is where the story really starts to grow into something bigger than basketball. The nepotism talk has turned into a full-blown cultural clash that refuses to fade. But here's what makes it even more fascinating. There's another side to it all, one that people are finally starting to talk about. Because not everyone believes what LeBron did was wrong. Some see it as something deeper, a father creating a legacy, not a shortcut. Some people say LeBron didn't do anything wrong. In fact, they argue he did exactly what any good father should do. Why wouldn't a dad with power and connections use them to help his kids succeed? That's real family loyalty. Even ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski shut down the whole nepotism outrage completely. He flat out said the NBA has always been built on nepotism, not just among players, but in ownership, front offices, and coaching staffs. And honestly, he's got a point. The Buss family has owned the Lakers since 1979. Danny Ainge's son, Austin, climbed the ladder to become Jazz president.
He's lying when he says that I attacked his son. When he came up to me courtside at the Lakers-Knicks game, he was lying then. He threw me off guard because he said, you can't be pooping on my son, because we over FCC Airways. You can't be doing that. I didn't know what he was talking about, so it threw me off. Had he came up to me and said, what the hell are you doing talking about me as a father? I would say it's because of what you were doing with your son on the basketball court for public consumption.
Mike Malone's dad was a legendary assistant who opened doors for him. Josh Kroenke runs the Nuggets because his father, Stan, owns the team. And don't forget the Colangelo family, who've had their hands in NBA front offices for decades. But then came a fresh perspective that hit differently. Some cultural commentators started framing the Bronny situation as black nepotism as a flex. They argued that for generations, these kinds of advantages have mostly belonged to established white families, and now seeing a powerful black father using his influence to set up his son, that's a whole new kind of legacy. From that angle, LeBron isn't breaking the rules, he's rewriting them. He's doing for Bronny what countless wealthy families have done quietly for years, just this time it's in full view, and people aren't used to seeing it done this way.
And the only reason he's in the NBA because he's LeBron's son. Nepotism, brother. Stephen A. got the right to say that. You can't get mad at me about my opinion.
But then, out of all the noise, one voice cut through the chaos and made everyone pause. That voice was Stephen A. Smith. And before we dive into what he said, you gotta understand the backstory, because in March 2025, LeBron James himself approached Stephen A., and what followed had the entire sports world talking. Stephen A. Smith was sitting courtside at a Lakers-Knicks game when things took a dramatic turn. LeBron James himself walked right up to him and confronted him over his constant criticism of Bronny. Cameras caught the whole exchange, and of course, it went viral instantly. Within hours, the clip was everywhere, forcing Stephen A. to respond publicly and explain his side of what went down. But then came a twist no one saw coming. Stephen A. went on his own show and completely flipped the script after LeBron appeared on the Pat McAfee show and fired back at him directly. That back and forth between LeBron and Stephen A. quickly became one of the most explosive storylines in the entire Bronny saga. It wasn't just sports talk anymore, it was personal.
Earning his stripes and participating against that lesser competition and busting there you-know-what to show that he deserves to be in the NBA. Because even though people are gonna hate no matter what, the legitimacy of their arguments are gonna dissipate drastically once you continue to show out like that. Once you continue to show that you belong like you started showing last night. Congratulations to Bronny James, but keep it up. It's a marathon, baby, it ain't a sprint.
Stephen A. came out swinging, defending his stance with that signature fire only he can bring. He doubled down, saying his words came from a place of truth, not hate. But LeBron's comments didn't exactly calm the storm either, especially after he went viral himself for saying Bronny's better than half the dudes on League Pass before his son had even played an NBA game. That line aged badly, like milk left out under the summer sun. Now the debate is out of control. It's not just about basketball, it's about legacy, privilege, and expectations. Every game Bronny plays, every missed shot, every sideline argument, it all loops back into this non-stop conversation about whether he truly deserves his spot. And maybe that's the sad part in all this. A young player trying to make his way in the toughest league on the planet, but instead of being judged for his growth, every move he makes is filtered through the shadow of who his father is. So where does this leave Bronny James? Where does this leave the Lakers? And where does it leave a basketball world so hooked on this story that it can barely pay attention to anything else? Let's strip away the drama and talk about what's actually happening with Bronny's development, because behind all the noise, there's still a young player trying to grow.
We're not rolling the dice. There was not enough data on it. It's like you have a cardiac arrest, it is over. We don't want this on our resume. They was not going back to perform the play. And he told me, he was like, man, I'm gonna be honest, it took me about 2.5 years to finally get back to just normalcy. Like my body, my mind, and he said when it happened to me, I was 23 years old. Bronny was 19 years old, and he's like, it's gonna take a little time, and I reason with that, but also he's doing things right now less than 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's because of his determination.
By January 2026, Bronny had appeared in 45 total games, split between 25 in the 2024-25 season and 20 in 2025-26. His averages: 1.6 points, 1.1 assists, and 0.8 rebounds, shooting 30.2% from the field and 25% from three. Add in a 4.2 net rating, and yeah, those numbers don't exactly scream breakout star. Nobody's pretending they do. But buried beneath those stats, there have been flashes, real legit flashes that show he's not just some token roster spot. Take December 31st, 2025, for example. Bronny went off in the G League, dropping 20 points on 8 of 11 shooting, snagging 5 rebounds and 7 assists against the Memphis Hustle. That was the kind of performance that made people stop scrolling and say, wait, maybe this kid can hoop. It gave fans something they hadn't felt in a while when talking about Bronny: hope. His growing strengths are starting to shape up. His defensive IQ is sharp, his athleticism stands out, and he's showing a knack for creating plays in transition. When he's confident and attacking the rim, you can see flashes of a real NBA player fighting to break through all the weight on his shoulders. But the weaknesses, they're still there, no hiding that.
LeBron ain't perfect, and I'm one of the first to point out his imperfections. On the basketball court, of course, nowhere else. But let me tell you something, he's an all-time great. He's never cheated the game. And that brother works his tail off to improve all the time. Emulate Pops to the best of your ability, and you'll be just fine.
His shooting consistency continues to lag, hitting just 27.3% from deep across his career. His decision-making can get shaky with a 0.72 assist-to-turnover ratio, and at times, he looks a bit undersized for his position. And then there's the one thing everyone seems to forget: the context, because none of this is happening in a vacuum. Every minute Bronny plays isn't just basketball, it's a high-pressure experiment in front of the entire world.
Turn it over in practice, I'm gonna say something to you. You do something on film, I'm gonna say something to you. That's the only way it works, because as we all know, and you've been around teams, the second the rules are different for him, you might lose the other players on the team. So you have to go to this with a plan, but the plan is simple, Malika. Do the right thing. The right thing is coach him to win.
Back in July 2023, everything changed for Bronny James. During a USC practice, he suffered cardiac arrest caused by a congenital heart defect. Terrifying moment that required surgery and forced him to miss half his college season. That's not just a setback, that's a life-altering event. For any 19-year-old to have their heart literally stop, to stare death in the face, and then somehow fight their way back to high-level basketball, that's not just courage, that's pure mental toughness. Bronny opened up about it later in a March 2025 interview with The Athletic, one of the few times he's spoken openly about his journey. He admitted he always knew the nepotism talk would follow him, but instead of letting it break him down, he said it pushes him to grind harder. "I see everything," he said. "It fuels me a little bit." That one line showed just how much fire is still burning inside him.
What's next season gonna be like for LeBron James? Hear me out. Your son is now a member of the team. Regardless of how wrong we know people are going to be, they're going to be throwing nepotism in LeBron's face. They're going to be throwing, to some of the teammates. Remember, Udonis Haslam said weeks ago, you're going to have people in the Laker locker room once J.J. Redick arrived, because it's not just LeBron, not just Bronny James that's arrived. It's J.J. Redick, who you were doing a podcast with during the season, that arrived.
And credit to the Lakers, they haven't panicked. As of January 2026, with the team holding a 25-20 record, there have been no trades, no cuts, and no moves to ship him off. Despite his offensive struggles and inconsistency, the organization seems committed to the long game, believing that development, not drama, is the key to Bronny's growth. Analysts who've been tracking his progress closely say there are two ways this could play out. One, Bronny locks in, sharpens that defense, and evolves into a legitimate 3-and-D role player, someone in the mold of Colin Gillespie, smart, dependable, and tough. Or two, his struggles continue until finally LeBron hangs it up, rumored to be around 2026 or 2027, and that's when the Lakers' patience might hit its limit. Either way, this isn't just a story about stats or minutes, it's a story about survival, legacy, and a young man fighting for his own name in the shadow of one of the greatest to ever play the game.
What is a parent, what is any stronger, what pulls at you more than your children? I don't think anything. I don't think anything in the world matters to a parent more than their child. And so to go through a season with your son, I'm imagining no one's ever really, there's no blueprint for that. I don't know that anybody's ever done that. So there will be some amazing highs and there will be some lows.
But maybe the real question here isn't even about Bronny James at all. Maybe it's about us, about how we watch sports, how we judge, and how quick we are to turn every young athlete's mistake into a viral talking point. Have we lost the patience to let players grow in this era of instant clips, hot takes, and non-stop criticism? The footage of J.J. Redick yelling at Bronny and the later G League walk-off didn't just show tension, They became mirrors for everyone watching, a Rorschach test for what we believe sports should be. Some people see accountability, others see humiliation. Some say it's a story about a father's love bending the rules of merit, while others see it as a moment where doors finally open for someone who generations ago might not have gotten a shot at all. The truth, like most things, it's messy, complicated, and sitting somewhere right in the middle. Because here's the reality. Bronny James is not an NBA caliber player right now. That's just the truth, no sugarcoating it. But whether he can become one, whether he'll actually be given the time, space, and trust to get there, that's the part of the story still being written, one game at a time. And as long as LeBron James continues to play and continues to cast that enormous shadow, Bronny's every move will be watched, clipped, analyzed, and dissected to death. Every missed shot, every smile, every bench reaction, it'll all feed back into this endless conversation about nepotism, pressure, and identity. Because at the heart of all the noise, the debates, and the drama, there's still a 21-year-old kid just trying to figure out who he is, not as LeBron's son, but as Bronny James, the basketball player. The real question now is, will the world ever let him do that? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, click one of the boxes on your screen to check out more stories just like this one.